welcome to another edition of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Writinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator at the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at KU.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Writinghouse, the Career and Outreach Coordinator for the KU School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Today we are joined by KU alum HaylenWilhitemp4. She's a meteorologist for KWCH in Wichita. Welcome, Haylen.
Thanks for having me.
I know it's a busy weather day, or actually busy weather week in Wichita, but I guess it's probably what you signed up for when you wanted to be a meteorologist in Kansas.
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up in Kansas my entire life. You know, I was terrified of storms when I was a kid, and that fear turned a little bit into a passion, and now I'm chasing tornadoes kind of for a living. But I love the chaos of our atmosphere, and of course, Kansas weather. I mean, you can have all of it essentially in one day, and especially with my job in Wichita, we cover all of western Kansas, so we can have a blizzard in one half of the state and tornadoes in the other.
You talk about maybe being afraid of storms early. It seems like meteorology is one of those careers where you know pretty early on that's something you want to do. So when did that desire actually happen for you?
Yeah, so the fascination kind of really grew whenever I started paying attention more to the news. Like one of the big storms that kind of impacted me was Greensburg, the F5 tornado that struck the community there. But also what really kind of set in stone for me, my career path, was the Joplin tornado. That was completely devastating, and I pretty much watched that in real time happen on TV. And I was like, yeah, I want to be able to track this stuff, to forecast it, but also just to make sure people are safe in these events, because I mean, those events are extremely rare, but I mean, again, they do happen here in Kansas. I mean, we are still in the heart of Tornado Alley. There are debates about it expanding, moving, but you know, it's always going to be here. And again, there's always going to be a threat of tornadoes. And so just always wanted to be able to track that, understand it, because it is an exact science, and there's always something we're learning about it every day, and there's some things we'll never know about it, and that's what really kind of it motivates me with the career.
And can you kind of elaborate? I mean, I always think it's such a high responsibility position. I mean, especially when severe weather is occurring. I mean, you probably don't take that lightly. I mean, that people are trusting you to relay that reliable information in a timely manner.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the pressure there, especially like on a day like today, like we have the risk for severe storms. And so, you know, we're just basically just trying to get the message out to people. I mean, and it's sometimes that's the tricky part of the job, is like, how do we convey the message? Like, yes, there's a conditional risk for severe storms. They may not understand that, but we do. So we have to take the information that we know from, you know, scientifically speaking, and bring it back down to more of a general understanding. Like I was explaining today on air how yesterday's storms kind of blew up because our cap broke, and the cap is basically the thunderstorm killer. It kind of inhibits from thunderstorms growing. I was trying to explain, you know, it's kind of like shaking up a bottle of soda, and you know, it's building up that pressure, but once you release that cap, boom, you've got a messy situation happening. So it's just bringing it back down to a general level, but you know, that's also just the challenge of that too also kind of excites me in this kind of career.
So it sounds like you really like that combination of, you know, science and the communication part of it. It seems like, in essence, that's a lot of what meteorology is about.
Yeah, essentially, especially in the broadcast field, but also, I mean, the National Weather Service has to also do that too. I mean, they're really more into the science of everything, but they also still have to bring it back down to a general understanding. I mean, we'll read these forecast discussions, and then we'll get a general idea of what's going on in the atmosphere, but again, we still have to bring that back down to a basic understanding. Like we could talk about Cape, Sin, talk about the jet stream as much as we want. Sometimes we do have to kind of pull back from being, you know, nerds and scientists, but it's like people are fascinated by the weather, and I mean, I've always been fascinated by it. I know everybody that I've met in Kansas is always fascinated by the weather, and people want to understand, and of course people want to, you know what's happening, when is it's going to happen, and just being able to be that source of information, and to be able to tell people exactly, hey, this is what's happening. You know, I do take that honor, and I want to be able to just, you know, that's what I've built my career upon, and I want to be able to share my knowledge, but also be able to help share, at least expand the knowledge of our general public.
In a day like today, when severe weather threat and especially this week. I mean, is the whole KWCH team, are you pretty much like on call for a day like today, or how do you come up with kind of your communication plan for like severe weather?
I mean, it works out for our team in Wichita because we have a team of 7, so there's 7 of us on the weather team. There's 2 morning Mets. I'm one of the morning Mets. Jake is the main morning Met, so we'll work in the mornings. I usually come in a little bit later than he does, so I'll forecast Western Kansas. He does Central and Eastern Kansas, and we kind of just bounce off of each other with that. And then usually we have our midday meteorologist come in. That's Adrian. He actually is a KU alumni and was actually one of my mentors at KU. And so there's always somebody on shift, and usually we get kind of a general idea. Like our chief lets us know, like, hey, this is going to be a big day. We may need some extra people to help out, but usually, I mean, yeah, it is a 24/7 business. I mean, especially with me being an early morning shift. I mean, I'm always watching the weather, but then of course I go to bed like at 5 or 6 o'clock when a lot of the main action's happening. But then sometimes we call a mop up duty in the middle of the night. So I'll come in like at 1 or 2 in the morning, just kind of whatever leftover mess from today's storms. And, sometimes we'll be tracking severe storms all the way till 4, sometimes all the way till noon the next day. So it is 24/7, but we usually have plenty of people kind of rotating throughout the day.
So on a typical day, how early do you have to report for your morning show?
I have to usually typically get in around 3 in the morning,
Oh,
but
wow.
I get up at 1:30 because I'm not a morning person, which is crazy of me to say because I have crazy morning hours, but I will still need a good hour and a half to just kind of wake up and kind of get myself ready, get into work mode, and then come in at 3 and have my shift, and then usually I'm done by the middle of the afternoon or the middle of the day.
And Haylen, with your job, how much actual like storm chasing do you do? I mean, you kind of do like maybe studio in the morning and then storm chase at night, or how does that process work?
I don't get too many opportunities to storm chase during the day because usually I'm done right about 11 or 12 o'clock. And of course, most storms don't start forming until after 2 or 3. And usually I'll just kind of storm chase on my own because it's my hobby. I love to do it. Haven't had too many opportunities so far this season and last year too, but usually, especially in the winter, I do a lot of winter weather coverage. So like especially earlier this year when we had a little bit more of that, I think we had back-to-back snow events. Usually they'll send me out in the morning in our weather car, and usually I'll get to go out and be like, hey, the roads are terrible, or hey, they're not that bad. That's when usually I do get thrown out in the mornings, but it's pretty rare when it's a severe weather threat. But when it does happen, usually they try to keep me in-house because they like the tag team if there is like severe weather ongoing in the morning.
And how old were you when you started chasing storms, and did your parents approve of that?
Yeah, I still don't think they quite approve it. I haven't even told them today. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking about going chasing today. So I'm sure, yeah, they get a little worried about it. But I mean, I've been doing this for a few years. I didn't really start storm chasing till 2021, when I started kind of getting into the higher level classes at KU and kind of got a better understanding of forecasting and taking some spotter classes. And of course I was storm chasing with some of my buddies, so it kind of helps to have people to go with. It's kind of hard to just throw yourself out there by yourself and not really knowing what to do. But I do like solo chases every now and then. But yeah, I definitely started more with my people, and then eventually kind of just learn from there. And I every now and then I'm like, I'm a little rusty. I know if I'm a little rusty, I'll probably be a little rusty today, but it's kind of like gambling. You'll pick a target, you're gonna hope for the best. If it doesn't pop up, you pick up and go somewhere else, or at least try to catch up with whatever storm. But it's a fun hobby, but it can be a little frustrating sometimes, especially when you're like, I know there's going to be something popping up and it eventually does not pop up.
It is rule number one for being a storm chaser. I mean, kind of a safety rule. There's something you
Just
keep in mind.
always have an escape route, good road, where you're at, you have a good road network. I mean, luckily Kansas, really great road network, but I can't say the same for like Oklahoma, Missouri. But just knowing you have an escape plan, like if you know a storm is heading your way, you want to be able to know, okay, it's moving northeast, I'm going to head south to get ahead of it so I don't get ran over by it if it does drop a tornado, or if it's dropping grapefruit size hail. So just escape plan is really the number one thing.
And you're talking about taking those higher level classes at KU. I know I've had some friends, they thought they want to do meteorology and the math. I mean, they just cannot keep up with the math. Was that pretty natural for you? The numbers part of the science?
See, math was not really my strongest suit. I mean, I could do it. It was definitely not my strongest suit, but if you're dedicated to it and you're passionate about it, you get through it. And luckily I was able to get through it, but I'm definitely more of a science, like I understand concepts better than actual numbers. But that was definitely one thing I kind of struggled with school, was just the math side of things, but also just coding. Coding is also something that a lot of new atmospheric science students don't really get right away. Is you do have to do some coding, and I always try to stress to any newbie or high school student, like, hey, if you can learn some coding before you get to college, you are going to be in good hands.
And Haylen, did the on-air presence, did that come naturally for you? I mean, your time with KWCH and Good Evening KU. I mean, did that take some time, or was that a pretty natural fit for you being on camera?
Honestly, it was a little bit of both. So when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a movie director. I was really into films and I wanted to direct movies, wanted to get started on YouTube. And I did the YouTube thing for a little bit. So I've always been comfortable in front of and with cameras, but doing the presentation on the green screen, that was definitely an adjustment when I first started, and it just kind of all came naturally. It's like, oh, I'm just talking to a camera. It's easier for me to talk in front of a camera than it is than 100 group of people, which is, again, people always find kind of mind-boggling. They're like, well, you talk to like thousands of people on TV every day. I'm like, well, I don't see them, so that kind of helps. But yeah, I've always been comfortable in front of the camera.
And while you're a KU student, I know you did some weather reporting in St. Joe. What was that experience like? I mean, that took some dedication. I mean, that's what, about an 80-mile drive? I don't know how many times you did that a week, but that's quite the
Yeah, I did it every weekend for almost 2 years while still being a full-time student. No, it was definitely a grind, but again, I was very passionate about what I did and I wanted the experience, and it was such great experience because it was actually me actually getting on air, that on-air experience, working with an actual news team and a newspaper team. And it's such a small market too. I mean, everyone usually starts off in a smaller market, but St. Joe was just such a perfect market for me because I had no prior experience besides, my time at KU. But I was also doing that at the same time while I was at St. Joe. So I was kind of getting the best of both worlds. And I think that really kind of helped with my presentation skills towards the end. Once I graduated, then I was able to move on to a bigger station like Wichita, and pretty much just kind of ready to go right off the bat. Like, yeah, I'm ready for the next big thing.
Yeah, sometimes I have to remind myself that you've only been out for 3 years, right?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in May.
I mean, do you feel I mean, I know you did the hustle, you did all the right things. I mean, how fortunate were you to get a job like in Wichita? I mean, basically right after you graduated.
Oh, I was very, very fortunate. I mean, it was kind of a process over a few months because I saw the job the November before I graduated, and I was kind of in conversation with them about it, and it worked out that one of my former mentors, Adrian, was on the team, and he already knew me and knew where I was coming from, and was like, hey, let's get you down here. So it really just kind of worked out through mutual connections and being able to show that, I've grown a lot over the last couple years, not only with the KWCH stuff I was doing with St. Joe, but also I did take on 2 internships while I was at KU. I worked at Topeka at KSNT, and then I also got to work in Kansas City at Fox 4 News up there, which longtime favorite station of mine growing up as a kid. So being able to work with people I grew up watching was kind of a full circle moment for me, and it was just such an honor to be able to work with those people and to really learn from them, and of course to be able to kind of do the same job as they do, kind of just in a different city just right down the road. So very blessed for all my opportunities that I've worked towards, and of course the opportunities that have been presented to me.
I know you've mentioned mentors a couple times. I think that's very important in any industry. How important is it in meteorology to have somebody you can kind of bounce ideas off and receive that encouragement from?
It's honestly, it's one of the most important things, just being able to have somebody that, has that experience and can kind of be able to help guide you. I mean, everybody has different experiences when they are learning the business. I mean, everybody has different opinions of the TV industry, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just big nerds. We all love weather. That's what's just kind of the driving force. And when you get a good mentor that's also just as big of a nerd as you are, it really just kind of helps just that just the understanding and just being able to kind of grow off of one another with that. Because again, it's an exact science. There's always things we're learning about and we can geek out about it and be able to make network connections. Like you can get connected with people that work in the aviation industry, the National Weather Service, private forecasting industries. Another big thing right now is the whole AI thing. So there's people that are trying to get hired, or meteorologists getting hired for, AI testing and AI models. So it's always it's such a fascinating industry, and there's so many different areas you can go into. So just being able to have those mentors, sometimes in different sectors, really helps to kind of get an idea of where you eventually want to kind of end up with your career.
And during your time at KU, I believe you're also the president of the KU chapter of the American Meteorological Society. What was that experience like? How often did you meet?
So I tried to get us to meet once or twice a month. I was really trying to push for more meetings because prior it was only just about once a month we would meet, and we usually have like guest speakers come talk to us. And it was my mission as president just to get more meetings and more just events for the KU atmospheric students to hang out, get to one another. I was trying to hold like trivia nights. I wanted the club not just to be about, making network connections and career opportunities and learning about the industry. I wanted it to be an actual connecting organization. And I mean, that's how I got to know my classmates and made really good friends out of them. And especially with the atmospheric science degree at KU, you are going to have to work with your students and your colleagues, because there's plenty of hard homework assignments that you're just not going to be able to figure out on your own. So having that collaboration with your peers will help you get to where you need to at the end of your degree.
Awesome. Great point, Haylen. Hey, I know you've got a busy schedule. I like to close with the Fast Five. So I noticed on your social media platform, you love horror movies. What's your number one horror film? What's number one on your list?
Oh, it depends on the season. Right now, my favorite has been The Black Phone.
Yeah.
Kind of more thriller, but that's my most recent one that I've like, ooh, this is kind of my favorite right now.
And I see you're a self-proclaimed metalhead. What's the last concert you've been to?
I believe it was Nothing More in Kansas City. So if anybody knows Nothing More, we good.
And earlier I saw your cat in the background. I think the cat's name's NATO, after tornado. Do you have any other pets named after the weather?
NATO is my only one. I had one cat prior to her, but he just passed away a couple years ago. And I've had him for 16 years, and I named him Blondie because I thought he looked blonde as with his colors. So, but NATO is my first weather cat. So, and she holds her name pretty well.
I recall a Kansas City meteorologist. Yeah, he'd have dogs, I think, named Stormy, Breezy. He always had the weather thing too. So, like that. So what is the toughest weather condition to report? Like the forecast?
Oh, kind of just your conditional severe weather days. It's either a make it or break it forecast. Is the cap going to hold or is it going to break? Kind of like yesterday, we were thinking, oh, the cap's going to hold. But then, of course, things just kind of went the other way because Kansas just can be very unpredictable sometimes. But I would definitely say between winter forecasting and severe weather forecasting, I mean, they're kind of pretty equal. But if I guess I had to lean more in with my personal frustrations, it would probably be winter forecasting because it is very hard to forecast accurate snowfall amounts.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say snow accumulation, because you always see the kind of the online joke, like, oh, anywhere from 3 to 12 inches. It's like, well, okay. Yeah, snow accumulation. And why do you think that is? Why is snow accumulation so difficult to pinpoint?
Well, it's usually due to the fact there's a thing called snow ratios. So you can have high snow ratios or really low snow ratios. So the lower snow ratio you have, that's your big wet snowflakes. You're going to get maybe 10 inches of snow with 1 inch of precipitation or rainfall or quote unquote melted precipitation. But if you've got a really high snowfall ratio, like a 20-to-1 ratio. So every 20 inches of snow equals 1 inch of rain. So that's kind of your dry, powdery snow. So just figuring out the exact type of snow you're going to get, because you can get between a 20-to-1 ratio, you can get an 8-to-1 ratio, get a 15-to-1. That's where our forecasting skills have to come in a little bit and try to figure out, okay, what the atmosphere is going to spit out for us.
And last question, how fast does the Storm Team 12 mobile weather lab go? And do you have keys to the weather lab?
I can go get them. I have to sign out for it. And I actually just drove it for the very first time a few weeks ago to a school talk. So I was a little nerve-wracking driving it because it is a pretty big car, but I don't know how fast it goes. I am tempted, but I'm sure it's like any normal car, but yeah, I try to keep it pretty safe because it's a cool car, but we want to keep it in good condition.
Well, Haylen, I know a busy day for you. Thanks for finding time to meet.
Mhm.
Stay safe, and I always like to do a quick cheers. I think you might have
I do.
from your American Meteorology Club. Nice, a little koozie. I like it. So again, cheers, Haylen, and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.